Sports Talk. We are live at the Celebration Bowl here for the MEAC versus SWAC, Howard versus FAMU. And with us we have Cullen Jones as well as Miriam Lynch. Miriam, we're going to start with you first. What does it mean to be from Howard?
Oh man, this means everything. So I'm a two-time graduate of Howard University, and having the privilege to join two entities and two of my passions together here for this weekend. So not only am I a two-time grad from Howard, but I also have the privilege of serving as the executive director for diversity and aquatics. And this is our second year doing a huge event about water safety and celebrating HBCU and aquatics. And so to hear that Howard University got in for the Celebration Bowl is just the icing on the cake to help celebrate this weekend.
Absolutely. You didn't start off with HU, so you didn't really go to Howard.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Don't do that. You know,
That's going to be the whole rest of this interview.
Well, since you said
there we go.
I'll do it now. HU?
Okay, now.
Okay. No.
Okay.
I can't say that. I can't say it. I can't say it.
We're honorary.
Honorary. Thank you. I'll take that.
You're honorary.
Yeah.
When it comes to aquatics and when it comes to swimming, what has been your driving passion?
You know, I had humble beginnings when I first started swimming. Someone said to me actually yesterday that for especially Olympians that you choose the sport. That wasn't for me. The sport chose me. I nearly drowned at the age of 5, and thank you for laughing. Yes, it is. That's my pain. I really do stem off of, I'm a student of comedy, and Kevin Hart's one of my favorite, who's also a swimmer.
Yes.
Shout out to Kevin Hart. But laugh at my pain. Yes, I almost drowned at the age of 5, and then ironically became an Olympian later. And so I grew up in the Baptist faith. My mom was like, well, it took a team for you to get here. You can't just turn your back on that. So after 2008, I started working with USA Swimming, and I'm a board member of Diversity and Aquatics to try to get more and more kids to learn to swim, especially in the Black and brown communities. I was almost a statistic, and I don't want to see other parents go through what I went through.
What has been that challenge of trying to get people that look like us to get into swimming?
I would say the number one thing is fear. So the University of UNLV and the University of Memphis did a study back in 2019. They did it for the second time. And there were 3 major reasons. Number 1 was fear, number 2 was parental backing, and the third one was physical appearance. When it comes to fear, either the child or adult has had a negative experience themselves around the water. Of course, the second one, parental backing, we know that if a parent doesn't know how to swim, there's a 13% chance that a child will learn. There's an 88% chance if just one parent knows how to swim. And then third, physical appearance. Look, I get it, ladies, with the hair. I got a black mama. See this fine lady next to me? Put it in braids, learn to swim, I'm not hearing it. And then for the guys, listen, I wore Speedos, okay? Look, I work for the brand, I work for Speedo, I get it. We got other stuff. Don't let that be a deterrent. We really just want to make sure that people understand that swimming, yes, it's a great sport. It's a life skill, more importantly.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
Well, I think too is that we have to understand access and the number of resources.
Of course.
You know, swimming is what we would call a non-traditional sport, and so with that, we have to understand too the historical factors that led to why we have the statistics right now, right? So when we're talking about equitable access, and that's one of the things that we're doing with diversity in aquatics, and why we're here and trying to bring back aquatics to HBCUs, is that there was a prominence in the HBCU community with aquatics. There were about 20 of them up into the early 1980s, right? But with the lack of access and the lack of resources that are provided with the number of pool closings, lack of lifeguards, that also is something that is not only what Cullen talked about with the statistics and appearance and fear, but that's also a factor. So you have to understand there's so many pathways that converge into what we see as the statistics today in our community.
When you said that, it reminded me of the movie with
I'm gonna wait. I think we know what it is. We're gonna wait. This is your test. Terrence Howard is in it. Gave you a hint.
Right.
Pride.
Yes.
Yeah.
That, seems to be the legacy and the way that you're trying to go with this. What have been some of the blessings that have come from that? We can always talk about the challenges, but what things have you seen that have worked out well?
Oh man, first just to give a big shout out to Jim Ellis and
Absolutely.
Pride. I mean, huge what that movie meant, but just him and what he's done. There are so many coaches and legacies like him, and I'll name one right here that's in the Atlanta area is Coach Tommy Jackson, right, of the city of Atlanta Dolphins, who produced a world champion butterflyer, Sabir Muhammad, who joined us yesterday on our tour of 5 schools and areas. But that's the blessing too, right? So seeing legacies and seeing a number of great stories and those who have gone and broken the glass ceiling, and despite the hurdles and obstacles that have become the icons and also role models like Cullen for kids. I mean, yesterday was one of those blessings, right? To have the opportunity to go to schools, to speak to at each school almost 400, 500 students, and have them excited about water and see themselves in faces like Cullen, like Maritza, like Sabir, and then we had
like
a young,
you,
like myself,
come on,
and like myself and so many others that are a part of our organizations. That's the blessing, and that's what we're trying to do, and that's what we're going to do this afternoon with the Water Safety Festival. Is that for us, our narrative is different. We know the statistics, but we don't lead with the statistics. Okay, and so for us as an organization, when we're talking about the possibilities. What can you do once you learn how to swim? You can become an Olympian, right? Possibly. You can become a CEO or an executive director like myself, or a researcher. You can become an entrepreneur, own your own swim school. You can become a coach, a marine biologist. And we're talking about the possibilities in this area. We're talking about this economy that once kids learn how to swim and once families learn how to swim, that we can open the doors to so much more resources. So those are the blessings, and that is the joy of what we get to do in this space every day.
100%. Can I hit one?
Yes.
Just one statistic. I'm a numbers guy. I like it.
Love it.
2008, there were 70% of black people didn't know how to swim. 5 times more likely than any other race. It is now 64. And that is from the work of groups like Diversity in Aquatics. It is through works of seeing people like Simone Manuel or humbly myself or Mirza Karaya, seeing that we have representation at the highest level. That changes people's minds, especially young kids. They're like, I've always loved the water. There's not one place, every place yesterday. How many of you like to be in the water? Not one hand wasn't in the air.
Right.
But when you see representation, look, 2004, I picked up some golf clubs because I saw a tiger. I wasn't very good, but representation is big, right? So that's why we got to keep this going, right? And I'm gonna tee it up for you. 117 HBCUs. There's only one with a swim team.
HU?
You know. There you go. Oh, speaking of it, now you got the coach.
So now you got 2 Howards. Yeah.
Miriam, where did you compete when you were studying?
Where or when? Sorry. Which college did I go to? I went to North Carolina State.
North Carolina State.
Yeah.
Okay.
HU.
There you go.
So actually, just as we tee up Coach Nick Askew, we swam together. So I was a freshman when he was a senior. And then to come full circle, so you talk about moments that are incredible moments within this journey that we're all on together. Swim community is so small, but also at the same time so big, right? So he was my captain my freshman year, and now to have him as the head coach of the swim and dive team for both men's and women's team, and to be working alongside of him that continues to break barriers every day is quite incredible. So I'm going to tee it up to him to talk about
It's a tiny
the
mic.
program.
Very good, very good. How are you?
Doing good. So, what does it mean to have the only swimming team in HBCU?
It's terrible.
Terrible.
It's terrible. There's no good reason why we should be the only one. There's no good reason. right? We understand that other institutions have challenges and, roadblocks, but we're in the problem-solving solution, right? I think we need to all be sitting at the table and trying to figure out where can we have other programs? Where does it make sense to be able to do it? And it doesn't have to be instant, like, okay, next year we're going to start a program. But let's start the conversation about what it takes, because a lot of the institutions, the HBCUs, are state-funded institutions. And, some of which, I'm from North Carolina, right? Cullen's in Charlotte, he knows. It's a hotbed for swimming, in those states. Maryland is a hotbed for swimmers of color. And a state-funded institution is going to be less expensive. Even if you don't get a swimming and diving scholarship, it's still less expensive than going to a lot of the private institutions. So I tell people very candidly, those schools can out-recruit me financially, because what we offer, even as a swimming and diving scholarship, compared to what the end-all cost would be, could still be less expensive at a state institution. Very well, much so, will be less expensive. And that's a big factor. And there's no shortage. I get emails all the time from candidates who are looking to be a part of our swimming and diving program because they desire an HBCU education and they want to be a part of our swimming and diving program at an HBCU. And we're the only one. And our roster can only be but so big, unless we get, an Olympic-sized pool, that we'll gladly bring, increase the roster there. But that's going to be a lot tougher. I think the easier thing to do, or the more appropriate thing to do, is to have the conversations about bringing other HBCUs back.
So and you want to create some competition, right?
I would love it. I mean, it would be amazing, and yes, it would change the dynamic of how we recruit and how we use we are the only one. But at the end of the day, it's not just about us. It's about all the people that could have the opportunity to swim and dive at the collegiate level. And that's a far greater purpose than just being the only one.
And can I say too, is that's what we're doing, right? With our partnerships with Speedo, with USA Swimming, and US Masters, Diversity in Aquatics is the place where this is happening. Right? So Howard is the only one that's a Division I, but through what we've been able to do since we've announced our partnership in the last 3 years, you have Texas Southern that now has a full program that is a USA Swimming program that will help to create a pipeline to resurging back their collegiate club team. That's their next goal. So like Coach Nick said, is that it's not an overnight process, but we're helping to mentor our HBCUs to helping them grow the process and having the opportunity to have a model program like Howard and a resource like this to say, hey, this is what we're trying to do. How do I work the financial? How do I work through administration? It's really, truly a partnership between all of us. And that's the one thing about swimming. It's really a community and all of us being together towards this mission, because all of us have been in the process of being swimmers. We all know that experience, and we don't want anybody else or our future swimmers that be the only one. We're trying to create those pathways. And so not only with Texas Southern, we've got Delaware State now has a triathlon team. Hampton has a triathlon team. We've got other schools along the way. Norfolk State is actually coming to the meet and competing, and they have a club team. So they're on the impetus of possibly being a Division I team, but they're starting off at the club level. So as we were talking about, it isn't an overnight thing, but we are starting to create the breadcrumb trail to creating this environment for HBCUs to house not only swimming programs, but many different aquatic programs in their area.
Now you mentioned, for those who don't, what does it mean club team, and is that different from full-fledged? Can you explain that?
Yeah, so there's two differences. That club team is not, it's kind of like your activities program, okay. And that you're under a different entity. So like US Masters would be your governing entity for your club team, okay, versus your division, NC2A Division I program, who is a part of the NC2A process. And those are two different in how it's funded and more through the university. It's a lot easier for some to go under activities activities and start that way to show interest at the HBCU level, to show that, hey, we've got a team like Norfolk State, they're bringing 12 athletes down here. And so that's showing interest, and they've done it for 2 years. And to say, okay, we're ready and we have a program that will be sustainable with coaches and athletes who have an interest, to now have the conversation with the AD, the athletic director, to becoming possibly an NC2A program.
You were going to say something?
Oh, no. She said that perfectly. I can't.
All right, let me get a little personal background
Yeah.
for each one of you. What was your favorite style when you swam?
I'll go first.
Yeah.
I'm breaststroke squad
Yeah.
all day, heart and soul. That's what I was developed as a swimmer. That's where I spent most of my time at Howard, and now when we separate into different stroke groups, I get the privilege of running the breaststroke group. So that was who I was swimming, and that's who I mainly work with. Well, for me, because we're a mid-major, like, we didn't get the advantage of specializing into the short distance or the long distance of it, right? So with the strokes, you have 50, 100, and a 200 yards, because all of NC2A is in yards. Olympic swimming in worldwide is in meters. But if I was to set up my own, it would be 50 and 100. But then, and when I got to Howard, I quickly had to understand that, nope, I got to expand all the way to the 200 as well.
How difficult is that to go from you used to yards and then go to meters?
Physically,
Yeah.
it's not that tough.
It's like, okay.
Mentally, no.
Says the sprinter. Says the
Physically, it wasn't that bad, at least for me.
I get it.
Mentally,
That's because he's on deck.
mentally, it was a much bigger transition. It was like, oh my God, like, I got to swim twice the amount at full speed. Mentally, I mean, the body can do what the body can do, but mentally, that was the biggest hurdle for me, at least.
Colin?
No, he's right. I did specialize. I'm a full sprinter, 50, 100, and more into freestyle and butterfly. I can't do breaststroke. My legs just don't go in that direction. But freestyle and butterfly for me.
Okay, Miriam.
So at Howard, I'm butterfly squad. That's who I coach. But while I was an undergrad, I did everything. I had 9 records at Howard University. Yes, like
The most ever by any Howard University swimmer and diver at that time.
at that time. And I've had the privilege of seeing many of those records being broken. And now we have some amazing female athletes a part of the team. But so I did everything. So that's why I paused when you were like, oh, you know what? Because I did the mile. That was my last record that was broken. Right. Yeah. So I had the mile. I also wear all the 200s, but I could sprint a little bit too. So I'm part of Sprint Life now. But it was wherever it was needed. As Coach Nick said, we were mid-major. So, and at the time when I was swimming with Howard, we only had 7 girls, right? And how many girls do we have now? About 23. Right, so we have 23 girls. So imagine when I was swimming 20 years ago.
You have to say that. You didn't have to bring that part up.
It just feels like yesterday. But to see the program grow from when I was swimming 7 girls and had to swim the 200 fly and then jump in and do the 50 free or wherever coach said I needed to be, to see it now where our females are able to specialize in their stroke and we're able to coach them through and work on that is just quite a journey, a part of the program.
All right, I got to go to each of you.
Yeah.
What did training look like for you? What was your training when you were swimming?
I'll go first.
He's the coach.
Yeah.
Well, you're both coaches.
Yeah.
You guys go first here.
Yeah. His is different than
I'm
mine.
gonna let Miriam go first because hers is a lot different than mine. So I want hers.
Yeah,
you should
my
go
training,
first.
So for me, it was because I was a distance swimmer as well. I would actually do our practices at Howard and then also go back home. I was with a really great team. I was a local from the DC area. So training for me was just maximizing that time so I could get that distance profile as well as sprints within our program. So I did a little bit of everything. Training was mornings, 3 mornings.
What time?
At 5:30 in the morning, and then you would train in the mornings at 5:30, and then every afternoon at 3 o'clock for 2 hours. In between, you do weights or what we would call dry land in swimming. So you're not in the water, you're on dry land doing things. So that was just a part of our training program. So, yeah.
So I wanted Miriam to go first because I need everybody to understand. I've never met anyone that enjoys training,
Oh yeah, I would.
practicing more than Dr. Lynch.
Yeah.
That was not me. It's not me at all. I grew up, there was this commercial, it was a really cool commercial, it was by a certain brand, and they had this montage of this soccer player. And he essentially was saying, I hate to practice. And it would show him, kind of begrudgingly going through practice. But then it showed him, he said, but I love to win. And when I saw that, I guess I was preteen, teenage years, it really clicked to me. It was like, that's me. I love to win. And that commercial really made it really plain and clear, like, yo, if you want to win, you gotta practice. So I started not enjoying practice more, but appreciating what practice could do. Because, most people that know me know I'm super competitive. I hate losing. I don't even like losing sleep. Like, I cannot stand it. So for me, it was all about, okay, this has to make sense towards what am I getting towards in competing, and wanting to accomplish while I'm competing. And that's how I train and how I made it competitive. Like, we have this saying in our practice sessions now about race mentality.
Yeah.
Win something. Beat somebody in something. So, like, for instance, if you put Cullen and I both on the blocks right now, he would smoke me in a 50 free, no question whatsoever. But I guarantee you, I'm going to win something within that. I might be the faster off the over a 50. We're gonna go 55. Yeah. I'm gonna if I get him on any part of the race, he may beat me by 4 or 5 seconds, right? But if I get him on any part of the race, that's the part I'm holding on to, because I was able to race that, I was able to compete that and get better and better, and hopefully that would inspire him to be like, no, I can't give Nick nothing, So that's what really got me going for training and to be the competitor.
You still 2 times a day training?
Well, I mean, shoot, now as a coach, we go 4 or 5 sessions a day, because we have to be pretty much at every single practice with the team. We don't. Let me. I don't.
She's still training.
She's still training. I don't train anymore. But being there with the team in every single practice, you feel every yard, you feel every lift, you feel every dry land, because you're so emotionally and passionately invested in it.
Yeah.
Before I go to you, how many of your athletes try and test you?
All of them.
All of them. That's all of them.
Let me look. Miriam held 9 school records at one period in time. I had a few myself, and I can tell you the exact day that my first one got broken. Not because I'm anything other than the memory of half the team ran to congratulate the swimmer who had broken my record, but the other half of the team came and started bringing it in my face that my record had now been broken. Because everyone wants to challenge and compete. And again, with the competitive side of me, I talk a lot of trash. So it's their moment to be able to, aha, coach, aha. So, but super, super cool. I always tell them, though, all the records set on the board have been reset within the last 5 years. Yeah. So there's only one record that's on our record board that has been there without us being a part of the coaching staff. And so with that,
that's a tribute to you then.
Yeah.
Can you say that really, really loud? Exactly. So there's a little tiny asterisk by all of those records, right? So when they come talking trash and stuff like that, I always make sure we make that point for them and everything.
What was training like for you?
Wow. Nothing like that. I'm kidding. like the way that Coach Nick just said that is perfectly aligned with the way that I was. Like practice, I did it because I knew the byproduct of that was I got to race. And I was always about the racing. I loved that part of it. Even when I decided to hang up the goggles and retire, the thing I missed the most, not only were the people, of course, and the friends that I had, but it was the jitters, the nervousness of being behind the block and representing the country and representing my friends and coaches. That was the part that I loved. But when it came to the actual breakdown, because I was a sprinter, most of my training was dry land. Yeah. So a lot of it was I was in the weight room, I was doing Olympic lifts, I was doing med balls. We have this thing called a power rack, and it's weights attached to a pulley system that literally you tie around you and you swim against it. And so I was pulling 160 pounds in like 10 seconds, and I would just do it back to back to back to back. So everything that I did was think about a wide receiver. Like I was doing that type of work. It was just constant, like the grind of that. I wasn't going back and forth as much as maybe a distance swimmer, but it was more intense in the sense of lifting and moving weight.
To get to the Olympic stage, how did your training change? Or did it?
I think the biggest thing was I paid more attention to what coaches were telling me. And once I hit the national team level, I was hearing things from multiple coaches. When it came to my stroke didn't change, didn't need to change too much. But when it came to a coach seeing me and saying, like, that one thing that, oh, I beat you on that one thing, he would say, my competitor from this country beat me on this little thing. And so I would focus on that one thing to get better. So it was less of trying to bring up every piece. It was always just one thing I had to focus on.
If you all had to swim your favorite distance, your favorite stroke, who would you like to line up against?
That's funny. Well, see, a lot of people say Michael Phelps, of course, right? Because Michael Phelps, he's a goat.
Pretty much
Everything except the 50 free, which I beat you in, Mike. So whatever, bro. I got that one. So I'll swim Phelps in the 50 any day.
Personally swim against? Man, I don't know. So many different options. I think it's not so much who would I swim against, or just who I would opportunity to share the pool with. One of my greatest swim memories is Cullen in the cruise relay. Like greatest relay race of all time. Like that excitement, that just energy, and that's what we thrive on as a program. Like that's the type of stuff we want to bottle up, that lightning in a bottle kind of opportunity. So I would love to get an opportunity to go be in the same pool, the same opportunity to kind of relive, recapture that. I don't know if that's.
Don't make me do that again.
Yeah.
That was scary.
It was fantastic. I would say, I've very humbly had the opportunity to swim with the icons, right, and work alongside them. Maritza, right, as I was growing up, both of us together, right, we're around the same age group, to be in that same pool as her, and what she's done for the sport as a Black female in this space, been quite incredible. You've got so many now that are coming up in this space. You've got Natalie Hines, right, that's doing fantastic work in the pool. And it would be just so awesome to be able to swim with her in that opportunity. You've got Tanika Jamison, who's a head coach at the University of Houston, who was an incredible butterflyer in that space as well. So there's so many Black females that should be shouted out in this, but having the opportunity to see them every day or call them, they've all been accessible, but to see them swim, and then possibly when I was growing up, I got to swim with them, right, in the same space. That has been so incredible as a part of that journey in swimming.
Sounds like a master's relay to me.
Hey, let's bring it. Ladies, let's go. Maritza, bring your suit. We got
Let's go.
Let's go.
Before we get out of here, let everybody know the program, how they can get to Howard as well, and all the work that you're doing.
Yeah, so I'll start tomorrow, or actually this afternoon, we are doing the Water Safety Festival portion. Yesterday we went to a number of schools as we talked about, but today at Morehouse, 4 p.m., we're doing the Water Safety Festival. We have a lot of different entities that are a piece of this, so we can talk about aquatics and all those different entities. Not only learn to swim, but we have rowing as a part of it. We have scuba diving as a part of this afternoon. And then we have some other things that are being implemented in this place. And then tomorrow we're celebrating HBCUs with our U.S. Masters meet with the HBCU swim meet, celebration swim meet. And so that's tomorrow morning, starts at 7 p.m. or 7 a.m. Sorry. Yeah. Oh, for us diverse. And so with diversity in aquatics, that's who's hosting it. That's who's bringing everybody together as a piece of this. So, diversity in aquatics, we are that umbrella organization that's able to bring entities and sponsors together, like USA Swimming, like US Masters, Speedo, Aquaman, all together under that one umbrella to have this water safety event. And so it's really important. We love you guys to follow us, like, share us on social media, because we can't do it without your participation. And we want to get you guys into the pool, because you start here and learn to swim, and then you become a swimmer, and then you can possibly get to Howard University and swim there. So.
Thank you all. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it's just amazing to partner with Diversity in Aquatics. Amazing people, but an incredible vision and an incredible work ethic towards bringing access and opportunity in a space where it has been denied, right? And there have been so many other barriers. So being able to be in conjunction with this amazing weekend, this huge football game in this amazing city, to be able to bring swimming also with it, and not it be an afterthought, but it's an actual part of the entire weekend, and being able to bring it into the community, go into the community ourselves, bring people into Morehouse College as an HBCU, which formerly had a swimming and diving program. Those are the types of things that Diversity in Aquatics does on so many different levels, and we're thrilled as Howard University, our men's and women's swimming and diving program, to be a part of that, and we're looking forward to all the great things that will continue to come from weekends like this and more.